because we've had some technical difficulties, but now we have Phil Watson here from the Lions Club. It's great to have you here, Phil, because it's just been known to me. I just found out yesterday that you've become the president of the Lions Club. And how long have I known you? I've known you from all the different networking events that we've gone to. So we've created our own Parramatta Power Group. We've done this. We've connected. I've seen you at so many different events, even at Joe's event, Joe Kowalski's event. My mind's currently blown at the moment because I'm really excited to have you here. I've been meaning to catch up with you and discuss many different things that we've been wanting to talk to you about. Some of the plans in the rural section. So let's start with, when did you become the president? What's going on?
Look, I was fortunate enough. I actually had suggested to the guys that perhaps I wasn't ready to be president because I'm not retired at all by any means. But look, the opportunity arose, and it was really at the start of this calendar year where there was a lot of noise made about me becoming president. I've been approached a few times. It's quite an honour in our particular club. We've got about 30 members, but we've actually started the club in the Cherrybrook, West Pennant Hills area in 1964. So it's been going for quite a while. And believe it or not, we've actually got some members who have been members for close to 50 years.
Wow.
Service in the community. So they're very much legends in terms of the work they've done. Too important not to say to be president this particular year. We've got an ex-president of our club who's district governor. That means he's responsible for up to 75 Lions clubs across the Sydney Basin. In addition to that, our club has the honour out of all of those clubs of hosting a district convention next month at Castle Hill RSL. So there were a few important things on the table, and you don't want to let people down, of course. They're all volunteers at the end of the day, but it is quite an honour. I've been on the board of our club probably for the last 5 years. But, you know, thanks. Like, not only are people volunteers in regards to what we do in the community, but people are volunteers to help someone who's brand new at being president as well. So that always helps.
So, for it.
Yeah, I think because when I think like Lions Club, I remember my grandparents being involved with Lions Club, and you know, I thought it was like that. It was these old retired people that just get together and socialise. But you know, I think Lions Club is more than just. There's so many different age groups.
Yeah,
that are involved with Lions Club. So can you give us a bit of background on what kind of people can we see and meet at Lions Club?
Well, Lions has the next generation coming through, and they're called Leos. So a person can be a Leo advisor and a Leo in the community, probably anywhere between 17, 18, 19 years of age up to about 30 years of age. And for our particular club, as I mentioned before, you know, we've got people who are more mature. We've got probably the average age in our club would probably be around about the 60 mark, I guess, 65 mark. Understandably, people have got very busy lives, and to ask people to possibly be a volunteer is very difficult when they're time poor. You've got young families taking the kids to sport, that makes it quite difficult. But at the end of the day, there's no particular age group as such, because you're really looking at the person that's volunteering and sitting down and listening to them in regards to how much time they might have free and what they might be able to do to support and help the club. I mean, if you've got one additional volunteer in any community and they're able to do 2 or 3 hours work even on an annual basis, that's better than no community person being out there, because there will always be something for the greater good that we can be out there doing.
Well, how do you actually meet now? Because a lot of things have changed. So I'm really curious at how you've converted some of the things that, with a lot of the things that like with COVID, how are you meeting? Because from memory, you used to meet at the RSL club that we met you at one stage, just to talk about that beer project that we were talking about. So that's another thing that
It's
we
still
haven't
there, just in
spoken
the
about. It's
background.
still there. So yeah,
Yeah.
well, what are your current challenges there? And some of the things that I've been really curious about is you've raised a lot of money, and one of the things was that comes to mind was domestic violence, and how are you dealing with that? How are you helping people in rural? What's this all about?
Yeah. So to touch on those particular points, Andrew, um, there is a foundation that fights domestic violence against women in the Hills District called the Lisa Harnham Foundation. And unfortunately, there was a young lady who was a Canadian model, and she was murdered. And as a consequence of that, Lisa Harnham Foundation was created to try and help and protect women. So we've had a trivia night a few years back. We were able to raise probably $5,000 or $6,000 in one particular night for the Lisa Harnham Foundation. 100% of our money that Lions raise gets handed to the charity. So there's no administration costs. In fact, it costs me probably $100 US a year to be a Lion. So anything that you see Lions fundraising for, you know that 100% is actually going to go to the particular cause. So in that space, we've also had our Cherrybrook Leos Club fundraise over the last couple of years quite significantly, up to $9,000 for one particular masquerade ball that they put on. And all that money goes to the Lisa Harnham Foundation. So um, the great thing about the trivia night that we put on is that we actually asked the attendees to come to the sports club at West Pennant Hills and to possibly bring some toiletry items for women and some toys for children, because they have these escape backpacks. So when a lady flees from domestic violence with her children and they turn up at the shelter,
Yep.
then they're able to give them those backpacks. So that's what we do in that particular space. Coming back to your original question in terms of how do you cope with COVID, very mindful of our members' welfare. That's number one priority. So when COVID hit technically in March 2020, we knew that we wouldn't be meeting face to face, where back then we weren't a very tech savvy club. But we've been able to put obviously the Zoom meetings together since that time. And you know what it's been like with lockdown. You can meet one week, no, you can't meet the next. So we've had to be very flexible. But, I can say that the first Zoom meeting that we had was probably in the middle of last year. And to see the smiles on the people's faces who hadn't seen their volunteer colleagues for several weeks was worth every cent of us doing that. It was very good for their own mental health. You mentioned what do we do in rural areas? So several years ago, our particular club joined up with a little Lions club of about 6 or 7 members in a place which is 75 kilometres east from Walgett called Collarenebri.
I remember this.
Yeah, so we fundraised in the city. It was at a time when the Barwon River, which is right next to their town, was completely dry, like a lot of other places in New South Wales that were impacted by the drought back then. So we would fundraise in the city. We had 2 sessions at Rouse Hill, and we promoted the cause for this particular story in town and the people of the town. And I think we fundraised something like $6,000 over 2 Sundays through bucket collection. And that money was actually turned into $100 vouchers. So the town would meet and work out who was doing a tough, either in the town or on a farm. And it was a food voucher, or it was a petrol voucher, or it was a voucher for the local butcher. So no cigarettes, no alcohol with the voucher. And that system worked incredibly well. So that's what we do in the rural areas. We've still got that bond and friendship with the people of Collarenebri. and I've been lucky enough to travel there several times. It's about 800 kilometres thereabouts from Sydney, so it takes a day to get there. We're there for 2 days. It takes a day to drive back. But I've been lucky enough to be Santa on the fire truck a couple of times for the kids. And we go up there and we help them barbecue and do a number of things like that for the community up there. So that's been terrific. And that's what we do in that space. The last one I was just going to mention is probably for more than 10 years now, we've been fundraising for Westmead Children's Hospital Cancer Research. So on average, we would probably be passing a cheque over to them for about $15,000 each year for that period of time. That money doesn't just go into general consolidation. We have been able to put funds towards the centrifuge units they use in the laboratory to spin blood when a child has cancer and they've got to analyse the blood. So COVID has been a real challenge there, because we haven't been able to go out into the street and sell raffle tickets like we normally have. So through Sydney Hospitals Foundation, we've now got a link, and it's under Bandage Bear, and people are able to donate online. So that's helped us out during COVID.
We'll be able to provide that link in a lot of the streams that we're going out into. So we'll get that from you later on, and we'll add that. And anyone that wants to really donate, please donate to something very, that touches me, because I've had a friend who's had a child at 2 years of age get cancer for. And one of the rarest cases that I know of, and I just remember him just crying and just holding him and just consoling him and making sure that he was okay, and just the things that these parents have to go through. Yeah. It's very, very touching. So yeah, if you guys can donate to that.
I just add, Sandra, just to actually make it very tailor-made in terms of where these particular funds are going. It's a big, hairy, audacious goal for us. It's $35,000 that we're trying to raise.
Yep.
So we will have our street raffle, I would hope, in the second half of this calendar year. We've already raised some funds, so we'll just keep adding to it. And in short, the medical device that we are wanting to raise money for is called a brain inducer. So as I understand it, if there's a child that's been deemed to have brain cancer, it's quite an uncomfortable process as part of the X-ray treatment, some sort of plate that might go in the mouth of a young child to, I guess, identify the brain cancer. The brain inducer is more of a sophisticated instrument like a pillow that the child can rest their head on. So that's quite technical equipment, but the cost of that equipment, and you would think that a hospital can snap their fingers and just buy it, but they've got limited funds. They have benefactors who are fantastic, millionaires who donate money on a regular basis. But I think the equipment's probably about $17,000, and then there's a series of programs they want to roll out as part of the pilot for that equipment. So if you go to the Bandage Bear site, there is a lot of information around the brain inducer and the reason why we're raising that money.
Okay.
So we've obviously seen that COVID, we couldn't go out and you couldn't go into the community and raise these funds, and now we can go online and donate, but it's still really important that you still go out into the community and be there. Like I still remember the Lions, the pudding and the Lions cake.
Yep.
I think there was always one in every household somewhere.
Yep.
It was given or it was bought from what the fundraising that was done outside the shopping centres and that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I read that those cakes have raised over $56 million.
Yeah.
In the past. We're getting back to getting out into the community. How are you guys finding it a little bit easier now to go in? I think you're doing the Bunnings sausages.
Yeah.
things
So
like that.
Bunnings, I guess Bunnings over the last couple of years, understandably, either it hasn't been on at all or it's been on, and we've needed to have a COVID officer who's trained up within the lines to make sure that all the benches and everything is wiped down and sterile. So that's been a process that we've had to learn and go through. But coming back to the Christmas cakes, the biggest challenge we've had in the Christmas cakes, as a lot of industries are suffering, I read something the other day and it said 30 to 40% of the transport industry has been impacted in terms of distribution because of people having COVID. We had a real issue with Christmas cakes and distribution this year, and it was really difficult. So lines being lines help each other. So we had another club that had stock and they were able to give us their stock to sell. So, helping each other is a terrific way to go about it. But we sold Christmas cakes at Bunnings at Dural this year on 2 or 3 occasions. The sausage sizzles have continued to roll through, but obviously, it just needs to be a compliant process when we do that.
So not only are we seeing food shortages in shopping centres and markets and things like that, we're also not able to go out there and raise funds for these really important research and activities and projects.
Yeah, and Andrew, look, even last Saturday at Cherrybrook Shopping Centre, we had some volunteer representatives there, and predominantly it was just to talk to the community about volunteering in general. But we made a decision in the middle of last week, we need to actually probably do a bucket drive and raise money for Tonga and the people of Tonga for fresh water. So Lions International has created a fund for Tonga, and I think we were able to raise, probably in a few hours, probably close to $500. And that's pretty good in the sense that there's not a lot of people going out to the shops these days. So, very generous local community. If there's a national or if there's a global event that takes place where people are in very difficult circumstances, you'll find someone from Lions on a corner talking to the community about possibly donating some money towards whatever that might be.
That's an important part to that we can all play to get back out there and help as much as we can.
Yeah, well, let us know when you have something and see how we can spread it across many different communities, because now what the state of mind is really all about is talking to many different communities and seeing all the different impacts around nationwide. So we just don't want to stick to being local. We're getting an understanding of where everyone is. We want to know what's happening with the mental health, how what are the impacts, what are we doing, what could we do, and we just want to open a full conversation around that. And it would be really interesting to get you back on here with a discussion panel at some stage with a lot of other people that talk about domestic violence, that talk about cancer, all the different research, and have many other people around it. So we've spent quite a bit of time at the moment, and we'd like to talk to you offline as well about some projects that we've been talking about between the two of us, and if there is anything that we could do with what we're currently doing as well, from that core work through different workspaces as well as different networks. Let us know and just reach out and just send us anything. We'll see what we can do with it.
Yeah, there's plenty to be done.
So how can people find, if someone is looking to volunteer and go to the Lions, how can they get involved?
Yeah, Andrew, look, the first thing, you would jump on the internet and you'd look up, Lions Australia. There's a website. There's a listing of clubs. So someone might be in the Sutherland Shire, that particular club is there. The details there would be from the membership chair and probably the president with their telephone. So, that's how someone reaches out. The good thing about Lions is that it's definitely not a foot in a brand new shoe. All right, so someone who's interested in volunteering, that's not sure if they're going to like the people that they're going to volunteer with. Are they going to get along with them? How much of my time is going to be committed? The good thing about it is that what we would generally do if there's been an inquiry is have someone from the Lions Club talk to them over the phone or through Zoom, or if it's available face to face, let them know the history of the club, and there's different types of activities we're involved in. And then we will have a dinner once a month where all the Lions members will come along. So that person ideally comes along as a guest, and they might come along 2 or 3 times. And then they get a feeling and an understanding, because you've got different people within the club who are standing up and they're reporting on their particular activities. So it's not a foot that's slammed into a brand new shoe, now you're volunteering tomorrow. It's a very gentle process to allow people, like I was for the first time, an understanding of what Lions do and if you'd like to be part of it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I think it's a great way to get people involved. But like you say, yeah, come join Lions. Go, we'll chuck you on the cake stall.
Yeah,
Off you go.
Yeah. You've got Bunnings barbecues, you've got Christmas cakes.
Yeah.
You know, you can sell raffle tickets. I think the thing, I'll just sort of finish with this, if you like, that the enjoyment that I personally was able to get out of Lions was that if you live in the corporate world for a number of years, working for a large organisation or organisations, sometimes you might have a bit of an idea and it doesn't exactly sort of get rubber stamped on the way through. And that can lead to a little bit of frustration. But when you join an organisation like Lions, you can come up with the creative on your own or with someone else. You can actually put a feasibility study together. You can present it to the board. And obviously, if it's got legs, it's something that's going to benefit someone in the community, and it normally gets a tick in the box. So that can be gratifying personally, that you're able to actually create these activities for the greater good and go out there and execute them.
That's food for thought. I've got so many things in my head at the moment. I'll speak to you about a couple of different ideas I already have, and what we've been discussing offline with numerous amount of people, and it does involve the rural community. So it will be really interesting to get an idea, or have you let us know what your thoughts are around that.
Yep.
So anyway, we'll end the session, and thanks for coming along, and with all the technical difficulties that we've just gone through. No need to apologise, because we got there, and we're here, and we're doing this, and we're getting this out, and let's work together.
Yeah.
So
yeah, thanks for coming on, Phil. Really
all right,
appreciate it.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you,
much
Sandra.
appreciated. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye.